Hello everyone, my name is Naufal Zaki Cundoko, and today I'm going to mention a French phrases for presenting in English. Welcoming your audience. It's lovely to see so many familiar faces here today. I'm very grateful to you all for taking the time to be here today. Next, to introducing yourself. For those who don't know me, I'm blah blah blah. Let me start by telling you a little bit about my own background. I am blah blah blah. Next, stating the goal of your presentation. What I intend or plan or hope to do is blah blah blah. The reason I'm here today is to talk about blah blah blah. A more informal version of this, I'm here to say a few words about blah blah blah. Next, explaining why the topic is relevant. This talk should be of particular interest to those of you who blah blah blah. By the end of this afternoon's talk, you'll know how to or you'll be familiar with blah blah blah. What I hope you will get from my talk or my presentation is a clear review or a better idea of blah blah blah. Next, introducing the first topic. I'd like to begin by drawing your attention to blah blah blah. Let's begin by looking at blah blah blah. Finishing a topic. That's all I want to say about this topic for the time being. So that's the background on blah blah blah. And continue with another topic. The next point I'd like to talk about is blah blah blah. That leads me directly to my next point, which is blah blah blah. Next, highlighting information. As far as I'm concerned, the main issue here is blah blah blah. The significance of this is blah blah blah. I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. The next one is paraphrasing. In other words, blah blah blah. Put simply, blah blah blah. Put it another way, blah blah blah. The next one is common knowledge. As you are aware, blah blah blah. As I'm sure you all know, blah blah blah. Referring to points you mentioned earlier. If you remember, I touched upon this point earlier. As I mentioned or pointed out earlier. Digressing. While we're on the subject of blah 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 blah, I'd like to briefly mention blah 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 blah. If I can just digress for a moment, blah 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 blah. Getting back to the topic. Coming back to the main point, blah 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 blah. Getting back to my main point, blah 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 blah. Then summarizing. Finally, let me remind you of the main points we covered or we look at or we consider today. Let me briefly summarize the main points. Then concluding. In some presentation, it can be very effective to finish with a famous quote. Such as, I'd like to finish with something then include the name of the well-known person who once said, and then include the quote. Let me just finish with a question and then include the question. The last one is thanking the audience and inviting them to ask question. Thank you very much for being such an attentive audience. If you have any question, I'll be happy to answer them now. A very informal way to invite audience to ask question. Any question? Only use this if you know your audience well and have an informal relationship with them. Thank you very much.